Hokey dokey. All right. BIT 2406, Chapter 4, number 31. This one is very deceiving. It appears to be super simple, and then the curveballs on like the setup and the constraints and everything. It's a game of trying to figure out where they got everything. So let's just kind of summarize. There's 3 types of wieners: regular, beef, and all meat. And they have a certain number of pounds available of chicken, beef, pork, and a cereal additive. So number of pounds per day, and then the cost per pound of each thing. And then they give us sort of this like breakdown regarding the specifications, which will lead to our constraint inequalities and equations for each type of wiener. And then they say the selling price per pound for each type of wiener. So what I'm going to do is first kind of just talk about the specifications thing, because that was the hardest for me to understand. I still don't understand it, but I do have a method of setting up the inequality, so I will just talk through those now. So starting with, I guess just it's important to know, just kind of glancing at the answer choices or the answer stuff real quick, notice like XCR, XCB, XCM. For example, like these, XCR, XCB, XCM. CR is chicken regular, CB chicken beef, or no, chicken, shit, what is it called? No, it is chicken beef, yeah. So there's chicken in the beef. Anyway, chicken beef, chicken, all meat. CM is all meat. Okay, anyway. So anyway, B is beef, P is pork, A is additive, C is chicken, R is regular, B is beef, and M is all meat. Okay, let's get into it. So, starting with the regular, they say no more than 10% beef and pork combined. So, what they're going to do is represent the beef and pork within the regular sausages as X beef regular plus X pork regular. So, they're saying, the combination of beef and pork in the regular is not more than 10%. So it can be 10% and it can be less than 10%, but it cannot be equal to 10%. Or sorry, it cannot be, greater than 10%. So the sum of these, less than or equal to 10%. Here's my trick. You set this inequality up, and then you ask yourself, if there's 10% on this side, what's the remaining percentage out of 100? 10% plus what equals 100? 90%. So you put the 90 on this side, and then you ask yourself, well, if we have the beef and the pork on the left side, what are the other ingredients, right? So apart from the beef and the pork, there's the chicken, so XC with the regular sausage, and then there's also the additive, the cereal additive. So we tack on the XA with the regular sausage. So again, what I'm doing is just going over my trick of how they've set up the inequalities. I don't know if this is logical or this is how they do it, but this is how it kind of makes sense to me and it works. So from here, you can distribute the 0.9 to the XBR and the 0.9 to the XPR, and that's less than or equal to the 0.10 or the 0.1 to the XCR. We distribute that to 0.1 to the XAR, and then we subtract these on both sides. So we have 0.9 XBR plus 0.9 XPR minus 0.1 XCR minus 0.1 XAR, and it's less than or equal to 0. Now, this ridiculous inequality is what they have right here. So XBR, XPR, XCR, XAR with all the correct values there. Anyway, so that should work with every other one of these. So I'll try to demonstrate the rest as best I can and talk to the other constraints and whatnot. But that's the hardest part of this problem in my opinion. So I'm going to go through a couple more constraints like that, and then I'm going to talk through why this chart in Excel makes sense, okay? So let's do the not less than 20% chicken. Notice we did a not more example. Right now we're going to do a not less than 20% chicken. So not less than 20% chicken. They're talking about the chicken in the regular sausage. So CR. So not less than 20 means greater than or equal to 20%. So greater than or equal to 20%. We then ask ourselves, if there's 20% on the right side, how much percent is left out of 100? That's 80%. So we put the 80% on the opposite side, and then we ask ourselves, if there's chicken on this side, what are the others remaining? There's the beef regular, there's pork regular, and there's the cereal additive regular. And so we tack those on to the opposite side. When we get everything on the left side of the equation, leaving 0 on the right side, I guess the inequality, not equation, sorry, we get this. We get 0.8x CR, and then we subtract the others. 0.2x BR minus 0.2x PR minus 0.2x AR is greater than or equal to 0. And this is the other one we see right here. And so this seems to work. This trick seems to work each time, and you can use it for all the others. So I'm not going to fully talk through them here, but let's see if I can just make sense of everything else here. So like this is, notice these are all the beef ones. It's like BBB, and then this is all the pork ones, PPP, and the additive ones, AAA. These are the chicken ones, CCC. This is just all the available pounds of chicken, beef, pork, and additive, right? They come straight from the chart up here. Okay, so that's from those. XAM being equal to 0. So like that's just the no cereal additive and the all meat. So A for additive, M for the all meat. And then our tricks will work the same way for all the other ones. I'm not going to walk through them. Hopefully these examples were enough. Now let's go to Excel and make sense of what they've done here. So the first thing I would say to pay attention to, obviously they have the available pounds of each ingredient, but I would look down here first. So for the regular sausages, when I looked at this at first, I was like, where the hell are they getting these values? They come from the selling price minus the cost per pound of each ingredient. So when you look in this column, 70 cents comes from 90 cents minus 20 cents for the chicken. So when you're kind of overlapping the chicken with the regular, you take the price minus the cost, because the price is what you gain, the cost is what you spent. So, you know, like a revenue minus cost situation. So 90 minus 20, 70. Do the beef. 90 minus 30, 60. 90 minus 50, 40. 90 minus 0.05, 0.85, right? So I think I said that wrong. 90 minus 5, however you want to see it. You get it. You do that minus all these. Same deal. 125 minus all these would give you the beef column. 175 minus all these should give you the all meat column. Okay, so it's giving us, it's like the profit per ingredient per wiener. Okay. Okay, so once we have that, let's talk these equations here. The ingredients used, hopefully this makes sense, is like the total ingredients used within this row. It's like the total chicken you're using is just the sum of all the chicken you're using in each wiener. So then same thing here, same thing here, same thing here. Okay, so they're just adding up the rows. You might be asking yourself, where did these values come from? These, I think, are from the solver. Like, no one input these. It was the computer that produced those. Okay, and then let's talk about these, and then we'll move on. So the this column is actually the restrictions, like the constraints, I'm pretty sure. So let's check out how this makes sense. So this first one, for example, notice it's 0.9 plus 0.9 minus 0.1 minus 0.1, 0.9, 0.9, 0.1, 0.1. So it's the amount of ingredients in the regular with the corresponding constraints, okay? And there were 2 constraints on the regular. That's why they have 2 rows here, but not 2 for the beef and the, well, I guess they have 2 for the all meat. Anyway, so like the second one is the second constraint. that was on the regular sausage. So 0.8 minus 0.2 minus 0.2 minus 0.2. You can see that equation here, 8 minus 0.2 minus 0.2, 0.2 for all the ingredient for the regular chicken, or the regular wieners. Again, no one input these values. The computer produced these values. So like we didn't have anything in here besides the formulas until we hit solve, okay? And then, so hopefully you can see all the other constraints corresponding to these equations in this column here. So the 0 is equal to E8, so that's this, and then the 0.5 situation for this. Okay. Once you have this chart and you've specified these and you have your available ingredients and the ingredients used formula, we are maximizing profit. So let's go to solver and see what the heck they did. C10 is your profit. That's what you're maximizing. You're changing variable cells. Notice these. This is different than anything we've seen, I think. C5 all the way to E8. That's this entire bold set of numbers right here. The computer's producing those numbers, okay? Now let's talk about all these constraints. G13, it's basically all these right here, and then it's also these to those. Okay, so it's our constraints. Let's see if I can get a view at everything here. This is tricky. So let me zoom out a little bit. All right, it's gonna be a little tough to see, but so like this first one, oh shit, I'm already gonna mess everything up. Anyway, G13 right here, the regular, that's this inequality right here where my mouse is less than or equal to 0. I might just say this, like look at these signs, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. Those should correspond to these, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, greater than or equal to, and less than or equal to. Does that make sense? So it's all corresponding to these. They're very specific. They've just set it less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to 0. Yeah, and then this last one is just all of these ingredients used have to be less than or equal to all of these ingredients available. And then they hit solve, and it gives them that. So I think I tried to do like a blank sheet to like imagine what they should have been like before it got solved, which I think this is it. So it's like before you actually I think I should do the sum of these here. So I need to bring these back in, but basically once I get these up, I'm gonna try to like solve it from scratch basically. So like this is what it would look like before it got solved. You input these, you input all these formulas here. So all these things, right? And then you input all these, it's nuts. And then you do solver. Let's see if we can do it from scratch. So we're maximizing profit, right? We're changing the variable cells. These are the changing variable cells here, subject to the constraints. Here we go. We're doing that is less than or equal to 0. Can you just type it in? Add, and then this is the second one, so it's greater than or equal to 0. Add, and then this is the third one, so it's greater than or equal to 0. And then all meat is this one, and so it's equal to 0. And then the last one, we have this one is less than or equal to 0. So this one less than or equal to 0. And then we are done with that. We do simplex, hit solve, hit OK. I think I missed something. I don't know what I missed. I tried my best, I promise. Oh, did I get rid of the ingredients used? No, that should be good. Let me see if I can find what's different. Sorry, I'm just kind of winging it, but I thought I would have nailed it. Oh, right. I forgot the one thing. Yep, so I forgot these constraints here. So we're adding, we need all of these to be less than or equal to all of these. So we need, oh shit, I messed up, sorry. These are less than or equal to all of these. So the ingredients used has to be less than or equal to all of those. Let me get rid of balls. No, that worked. I think. Here, let's try that. All right, I think it worked. It just sometimes happens with the product or the profit function, but I think these values are right, so I'm just gonna go with that. Yeah, you can see the answer there. I don't know why it didn't work. Sometimes it doesn't produce it right when you copy and paste it or something. I don't know. Anyway, I hope this video was helpful for this one. This problem, again, was very deceiving, but hopefully, this cleared up some things and helped out a little bit. I'm not an expert at this shit. I'm just trying to, help you with what I know, what I can figure out here. Yeah. All right. If you have questions, let me know.